The Donkey Kong family lineage has always been a long unanswered question. From the first arcade game to the soft reboot of Donkey Kong Country, it's never been clear which Kong was related to who and how. However, it's also not even clear how many Kongs there are or what counts as a Kong. To help quantify this and make a list, I will have my own definition of a Kong that I will use for the rest of this video. Rule 1. A Kong must be a primate-like creature, not just apes, as there are a few non-ape Kongs, but all Kongs are still primates, so no animal helpers or whatever, just distinctly ape-like creatures. Rule 2. For the purposes of making this not just a tally of generic characters, named Kongs count individually, generic enemy Kongs count as one per distinct type. Otherwise, this list is the Donkey Kong equivalent of counting Goombas in each Mario level. Rule 3. A Kong doesn't need to be a member of the Kong family, i.e. related to Donkey Kong, to count as a Kong, as we are treating Kong as a species group, not a last name. Rule 4. Only Kongs appearing in officially released material count, whether it be games, magazines, the TV show, or whatever else. As long as it's officially released and affiliated with Nintendo or Rare, it counts. Rule 5. If the same name Kong appears, established lore, personality, or looks are vastly different, not just because of graphical limitations, but an intended redesign, then we're going to count them as a separate Kong. So to start, we'll state the obvious. Donkey Kong, technically Donkey Kong Sr., we'll clarify that later, is number 1. Diddy Kong, number 2. Dixie Kong, number 3. Candy Kong, number 4. Funky Kong, number 5. Swanky Kong, number 6. Chunky Kong, number 7. Lanky Kong, number 8. Tiny Kong, number 9. Wrinkly Kong, number 10. Kiddy Kong, number 11. And we're already in trouble. Donkey Kong, as I said before, is really Donkey Kong Sr., who is now known as Cranky Kong, with the Donkey Kong in the modern games being Donkey Kong Jr. However, the newest game, Donkey Kong Bonanza, makes this even more confusing, as Cranky Kong can be seen with Donkey Kong Jr. and a young Pauline, messing up the timeline of the games. So when Cranky was young, he captured adult Pauline. So to give Nintendo the benefit of the doubt, I also consider Cranky Kong, Donkey Kong Jr., and Donkey Kong Sr. as completely different characters to not break the timeline. So now we have Donkey Kong, modern games, redesigned, number 12. Donkey Kong Sr. from the arcade games, number 13. Donkey Kong Jr. from the arcade games, number 14. Cranky Kong, Donkey Kong Jr.'s potential father, number 15. I'm also going to count Baby Kong here, an obscure character which only appeared in the Quest 19 CGI TV show, the Japan-only manga, which also started as a younger Donkey Kong, but then became its own separate character. So there's some pre-established versions of this existing. So Baby Kong is number 16. Now for some more obscure or debatable ones. Wrinkly Kong's ghost. I would count her as a separate character because Wrinkly Kong did die, so therefore her ghost is a separate entity, and so was alive her, so Wrinkly Kong's ghost is number 17. Then there's Cannon Kong, Capture Kong, Catapult Kong, Circus Kong, Cool Kong, Crash Kong, Konga, Mini Diddy Kong, Mini Donkey Kong, Candy Kong, Mecha Donkey Kong, Robo DK, Robot Kong, Mecha Kong. And these are all the Robot Kongs, which I'll choose not to count because they're robots, not monkeys. So they don't count. None of them. So we're still at number 17 with Wrinkly Kong's ghost. Then there's the generic enemy Kongs. Gorillas from Super Mario RPG, Monkey Kong from DKC, Lucky Kong from Yoshi's Crafted World, which leaves us with Gorillas 18, Shane Kong's 19, Monkey Kong 20, Lucky Kong 21, and Snowy Lucky Kong 22. And some more continuity ones, because the lore is weird. Baby DK, separate from Baby Kong, is another younger version of Donkey Kong. However, Mario's Super Slugger, she can play along Donkey Kong Jr., so I'd count him as a separate character, which gives us Baby DK's 23. Donkey Kong Jr. 2. A pink version of Donkey Kong Jr. we only seen Donkey Kong Jr. Math, the NES game, when playing multiplayer. What I'll call Pinky Kong as Donkey Kong Jr. 2 is not much of a name, which gives us Pinky Kong 24. And now onto the TV show, the same one that Baby Kong, not Baby DK, Baby Kong comes from. Blister Kong 25, Kong Fu 26, and another issue. Eddie the Mean Old Yeti. Yetis aren't real, neither are Kongs, he looks like a Kong, lives near the other Kongs. We're counting them, we're showing that Yeti is a subspecies of Kong. Or he's just a white Kong, we know they exist. Eddie the Mean Old Yeti, number 27. We already counted Candy Kong, but her appearance in the TV show is drastically different, and it's not just a new design, as in newer games she went back to the old, sort of weirdly sexual design. So I'm counting this as a different Candy Kong that exists within the TV show's universe. Candy Kong TV show, 28. Now this begs the question, if Candy Kong is a different Candy Kong, what about the rest of the Kongs in the TV show? Well, Donkey Kong in this version is also not related to Cranky Kong, and whilst we aren't considering them related for the purposes of this list, this is in conflict with pretty much all other official content apart from DK Bonanza, which was released something like 20 years after. So we can infer that Donkey Kong and Cranky Kong are not the same as their game counterparts either, so Donkey Kong TV show number 29, Cranky Kong TV show number 30. Dixie Kong also appears fairly different in this, looking closer to the young version of Tiny Kong than Dixie Kong. And given how we're counting Candy, Donkey and Cranky Kong, I say we count Dixie too. Dixie Kong TV show number 31. And now there's some of the unique enemy or boss Kongs, such as Dread Kong number 32, Karate Kong number 33, Ninja Kong number 34, Sumo Kong number 35, Ghastly King / the Cactus King number 36, Grumpy Kong number 37, Poppy Kong number 38, Void Kong, who doesn't really look like a Kong, but he is a Kong, and if we're counting Kong subspecies like Eddie the Mean Old Jetty, then marmosets can also be Kongs. Void Kong number 39. There's also the Rabid Kongs, which I'm not counting despite counting the Ucky Kongs, primarily because most Ucky Kongs were hybrids of the features of both Kongs and Ucky Ucky. The Rabid Kongs are just buff rabbits with Kongs in their name, and they look weird. they just look like rabbits. They have no discernible Donkey Kong or Kong features. Even more obscure ones, such as monkeys, which you can argue are monkeys, not Kongs, but I disagree as they fit the category of being Kong-like, and if marmosets are Kongs, explicitly according to Nintendo, so can a monkey. However, monkeys aren't just a species, they also have unique identities within the species, so follow the same rules as before by counting each individual type of monkey as one Kong, giving us monkeys, the generic type, number 40, Ninjapes, number 41, Prospector monkeys, number 42, Salvager monkeys, number 43, and Minkeys, not monkeys, Minkeys, number 44. I'm also going to count the Party Monkey, which only appears as a trophy in Smash Bros. Brawl, and has no unique texture model as opposed to giant monkeys, but its title is Party Monkey, singular, is why I'm classing it as a unique Kong, as none of the other games have a Party Monkey, and it's an officially released material, so Party Monkey, number 45. Again, some more obscure ones. So I have Bink, who is a skeleton of a Kong, and if we're following the Wrinkly Kong rules, he's two separate Kong identities, one undead, one alive, so Bink alive, number 46, Bink dead, number 47. Bink is only ever seen as a skeleton, but is still alive, which raises a few questions. One being, are all Kongs immortal? Because if Wrinkly and Bink are the only two we ever see or know that have died, and they ended up as paranormal figures, do Kongs have immortality? And two, why is Bink a skeleton, but Wrinkly's a ghost? And is there a ghost Bink out there and a skeleton Wrinkly? Who can say? Not me though, so on to the next Kong. Redneck Kong, another obscure one, only ever seen a couple in-depth screenshots of Diddy Kong Pilot for the GBA, which eventually became Banjo Pilot due to licensing issues with Rare and Microsoft. Because Redneck Kong didn't actually exist in any released material, and for all we know could have been a placeholder or developer joke, I'm not counting them. Uncle Kong, who is only featured in Famitsu Japanese strategy guide for Donkey Kong Country 2. He looks very similar to Buster Kong from the Donkey Kong Country TV show, and whilst Famitsu isn't owned by Nintendo, they are affiliated with them and often have exclusive Nintendo content due to their support for Nintendo in their earlier years, the magazine's name coming from their Japanese name for the NES, the Famicom, and the news, Famitsu. Due to this, and the similarity to Buster Kong's design, I consider it likely this design was floating around that was originally maybe for DKC 3, and was instead used for a TV show. Because of this, and his name being Uncle Kong and not Buster Kong, and Uncle Kong apparently living in Osaka, which I don't know how you get to Congo Bongo Island from, so we're just going to assume that he's a different Kong. Uncle Kong, number 48. Fedora Kong is a similar Kong, also from a magazine, albeit this time Nintendo Power, which was Nintendo's official magazine in North America, lending it some more credibility. Fedora Kong is unnamed but is often referred to due to his titular fedora being his only defining feature. However, due to him existing in an era where 3D modelling took far longer, I believe him to be another Kong, as otherwise why would have anyone have spent time creating this model? Potentially another candidate for DKC3 that never got chosen, but it's official and released in a sense, so sure, Fedora Kong. Fedora Kong 49. Wheel Luster. Leo Lister is a Kong we see briefly in the DKC TV show in Season 3, Episode 10. He is the antithesis of Buster Kong and is presented as a sort of suave, smooth talker. However, he's actually just Buster Kong after using substances, hair products. So we're not counting him as a unique Kong despite his unique appearance and personality. The Super Kongs are two helper characters that appear in DKC Return for Wii/3DS if a player dies 8 times in a row. The characters then automatically complete the level for you. These Kongs have unique appearances but ultimately seem to just be DK and Diddy with white fur and blue attire. Possibly similar to Mario after picking up an item such as the Power Star or a mushroom. Just powered up versions of the two Kongs rather than unique separate Kongs. So we're not counting them. This leaves us with 49 members of the Kong family. Or 36 more specifically, as the monkeys aren't related so much as just the same species of the Kongs. Uncle Kong explicitly states he isn't related to the Kong family. Bink and Wrinkly are just one person despite their two entities. Eddie the Mean Old Yeti isn't part of the family in any meaningful sense. The Banky Kongs aren't either, leaving us 49 total unique Kongs and 36 members of the Kong family. So, yeah, there's 49 Kongs.